How do I conduct my training sessions, to spread awareness? Basically, I have different modules to train management, to train HODs, to train IC, internal committee members, IC members, and to train employees. So it has different content, but for employees it is more about awareness on POSH. So I do conduct a small survey before I start to evaluate their knowledge before the training, and then I talk about. I start with case studies, the published case studies of POSH, and then of course it's an interactive session. I explain them basic of act that are related to the employees, not the entire act. They will get bored. So they will know about who should complain, when a person should complain. They should know about do's and don'ts of sexual harassment, the consequences of sexual harassment, and what steps they can take to address this sexual harassment. If it is happening to them, how do they approach internal committee or HR with their written complaints, how they can get prepared before they complain, like collecting evidences, talking to people, documenting things, and then how would they address it, the steps of preventing or addressing your sexual harassment. So this is what we basically train them. Then we have a lot of question answers. I clear their doubts. Uh, People are want to know more about the consequences, and then I have also sensed the fear that men have, that what if it is misused. So I do tell them that if I have handled 120 150 cases, 98% there are true cases. Actually, this act is underutilized. The research says, the survey says that more than 50%, or rather more than 70% women don't want to address sexual harassment cases because they have fears. And now in this condition, uh, COVID-19 pandemic, what happens is people have a lot of fear of losing their job or layouts. Uh, so they want to secure their job and they don't want to get into complaining. And there have been a lot of online complaints also, complaints via internet, WhatsApp, Facebook during the meetings. So most of the women don't want to complain. Our motto is that everybody complains, of course, but most of them don't want to complain. So this law is highly underutilized. We do have false cases. False cases, we have handled false cases, but it's hardly 1 or 2%, and it's very easy to recognize true and genuine complaint and false complaint as you deal with these cases. So we do get that now today's generation is very liberal. So I have heard a girl saying that sexual harassment doesn't exist. Maybe she never had an experience, but within her small experience, she never saw it. It's okay. So we come up with people with different doubts, doubts, ambiguities, questions, and I make sure that I give them enough time to answer their questions. So training to IC is more of the basics of act, the requirement of IC members, roles and responsibility of IC members, and how to deal with the complaint. That is what. To HODs and the management, it is mostly sensitization. Being in the business, they hardly get in touch with social issues, hardly, because their focus is business. So when they hear about it, they get alarmed. Yes, such things can happen. And when I share case studies of different companies, they get experience, what can be happen, how can we be careful. And it's more of sensitization of gender discrimination, diversity and inclusion, such issues where I sensitize them. different issues that women face, maybe because of the low ratio, or because of other issues. So this is how I conduct sexual harassment training programs.